Hello and welcome to Bridge Visions. I am Samuel Davis III, the co-founder and CEO of Bridge Visions, and next to me is
Kelly Davis, co-founder and president of Bridge Visions.
how are you doing today, everybody? We are on this is our second broadcast, and we wanted to just go out here and as last time I spoke, I said I was going to just jump in here and get things going. And the title of this episode this week is the I Miss You episode.
Aw, honey,
I miss you, baby.
I miss you. Love you.
Some of you may or may not know what's going on. I'm actually here in California, and my wife Kelly is in Michigan. We have been separated for this is our first separation.
Yes, it is. Since we met
Since
in
we met.
2012, this is the longest we
Yeah,
have
this
ever
is.
been apart.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, most definitely, most definitely.
Mhm.
A lot of
Yeah.
stuff going on, and I call this the I Miss You episode because first and foremost, it's been how long has it been? About 2 weeks since I've seen you, maybe longer.
Oh my gosh, I think it's been closer to a month.
Has it been that long?
Been closer to a month. Yeah. A little
Wow.
over a month, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've had a month where we've been separated, and it's just I miss my baby a lot. I really do. A lot of old routines that we have been altered. I do things a little differently now. I've actually, which has been actually amazing. Now I have to admit this. I've been doing one of my secret pleasures during this I miss
Okay.
you period.
You got to tell the secret. You
I'm
got
going
to
to
tell
tell a
the secret.
secret. So now, I personally am a fan of zombies.
Say it isn't so. Say it isn't so.
And I have never watched The Walking Dead except for the first couple of seasons or first couple of episodes. And since this time, I have taken precise moments out of my day to carve out a little time for me. And I'm actually on the final season of The Walking Dead. What I did not know, though, this thing is 11 seasons long, action packed, drama. I mean, thrills, chills, everything that I've wanted in the zombies in zombie stuff. Oh, it's been amazing.
And I think it's fair to say the other side of it is I'm not a fan of zombies. I'm really not into people eating. Well, they're zombies, so they're not people anymore, but I'm not into eating. I don't like guts flying across the screen. I'm not into slasher flicks. So as much as we are aligned and gel, I do know that you have sort of a what's the word I want? You like horror movies, you like zombies, and I don't. So I guess one of the things of the
Well,
separation.
let me jump in. Let me jump in. I like good horror movies. I have there's a difference.
Yeah.
And it's not even horror movies because I'm not really big on horror movies. It's certain ones that'll get you if it's got a great concept. The zombie concept is great. It's great. I mean, especially with what I've seen of The Walking Dead so far,
Mhm.
it is so much irony behind certain things, karma behind certain things. That's how they write the story up, and it's the story behind it. I'm not one of those. What is that sci-fi channel? SCYFY Sci-Fi channel. They show those B
Yeah.
movies or C or D movies. Horror movies,
Mhm.
slasher flicks as they call it. But The
Well,
Walking
it's
Dead to me,
interesting. Oh, sorry.
no, it's okay.
Well, I think it's interesting that you mentioned that because I also think it's a good segue about the I Miss You episode. One of the reasons why we want to do it. So why are we separated is
Mm.
unfortunately my sister Gail passed and still dealing with that loss. And I brought it up when you're talking about these B, D, and C movies. Gail was a real fan of like that mystery science theater. She used to watch the worst movies ever. I mean, I'm talking about like the the Mothman versus the raccoon people. I mean, black and white, these vintage way back. I mean, just horrible, horrible movies. So it's interesting that we're bringing this up, the I Miss You episode, and you're talking about your sci-fi and zombies, because my sister was a real, real, real D movie fan. So yeah. And I think that for me, one of the reasons why doing this episode and we're going through this about the I Miss You is I haven't really been on social media, and I'm just not, I'm very, outside of our business life. As you know, I'm very private. So this is also a way for us to talk about the process of missing people. And in my case, grieving. And in our case, making sure we make the time for, we speak every day, tons of times a day, to do what it takes to keep moving forward in healthy manner, whether the relationship is still alive like ours, or it's moved into a transition phase like my sister has, to leave this realm, to leave this life.
Rest in peace, Gail. It was
Yeah.
this whole situation is still we're still going through it. We are still going through this process. It's been since December now, when we actually left initially, mid-December.
Yeah.
Went on the trip to Michigan in hopes of
Holiday.
Yeah, holiday, hanging out with the family. I ended up getting a little sick, and it kind of passed down from family member to family member. And yeah, it's a lot of missing right now. I miss a lot of the things that we were doing at the house. I miss just the laughter that we had. And I do miss you, baby. I really do. I have to say it again. You sit back and they say, you're supposed to leave your family and cleave unto your wife and make a new, venture forth into the world. And we've done that. And we're on the verge of doing new things right now, in particular with Bridge Visions.
Yes.
We are looking at finally kind of, at least for me, nailing down what it is exactly what we do.
Inquiring minds want to know, and so do we.
Oh my goodness. We started out with real estate videos and drone photography and video production and choreography and plays and community outreach. There have been so many different aspects that we've been working on, and we're starting to nail it down to what we want to do. But I think throughout the most of it, we want to bring you along on this journey with us here with the Bridge Visions podcast. We actually even had a tagline. I didn't even get it. I should have said it. What was the tagline we actually agreed on? I said, welcome to Bridge Visions, where we explore the infinite possibilities of what could be.
Could be. That's right. Yeah. And I think that we as a couple, I get a lot of people, whether they're close proximity to us or just in passing, wanting to have a relationship so that you can say, I miss you. And I think that previously we have not done this because we walk it. And I don't feel, and I never have felt the inclination to certainly want to do a podcast with you. But I think one of the draws with this particular podcast is that so many people want to engage in significant relationships. And I'm not talking marriage. I'm talking about having healthy relationships with a significant other and being able to have in our case, a lifetime relationship. And how does that happen? And I know that I have had people say a goal is to have a kind of relationship like you and I have. And perhaps with that, just even coming on here and talking to each other and talking about topics and talking about relationships, that it might be something that is helpful in the universe of the world, our realm, so.
It is interesting that you mentioned that. There are lots of times get emails and questions from people like, hey, where'd y'all meet at? What's going on? How come how do you get him to do things that my man doesn't do?
Yes,
And
yes.
and
Let
and
me let me I have to jump in. Let me just say this right now. I can't get Samuel to do anything. But
thank
it's
you,
in a good
Kelly.
sense. I mean, meaning I don't the idea of me getting him to do something is a little funny to me. Samuel actually arrives at stuff on his own. And I think because you are a compassionate, sensitive man, that people don't understand that, yes, men, black, this, and a black man in particular, can have a huge amount of compassion and sensitivity, not just for me, you have it for others. And I think it's also important for people to see someone that's in support of still being Samuel Davis III, all man, all the way through and through, and still be a support and listen to wife.
See, I'm 6'1" and I'm tons of fun and I dress to a T. Hey, I threw it down. No, but you know what? There's something I want to back up with a couple of things. You know, there is this thing about sensitivity that when they talk about a man being sensitive, and there's always this pride thing that men get. And I can say that because for the countless thousands upon thousands of men that I've worked with in the
Say
federal
it, say it.
Bureau of Prisons and the prison systems and
The
you know,
military,
in the military, you know,
airmen.
there's always this thing about manning up, and it's an
Yeah.
interesting thing that over the years I've learned to. A lot of times, manning up is about shutting up, not speaking out, not saying things. And the military, you definitely don't say nothing. And in law enforcement, sometimes you say things that'll cost you your life. So this is an opportunity to be able to talk about a lot of different things that I've experienced and that I think that I've learned along the way that I would love to share with other people and other men as well as women, because I have been asked from both sides. Both of us have, as far as what's going on and how do you do this and how do you open up and say these things. And it's just like you mentioned, how do you get him to do these things?
So let me ask you, one of the things that you have done when you were active in your law enforcement career, you talked about a way what is that? An MO, motive operandi, what's that called?
Firm, fair, and consistent. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, that
Question.
okay.
Do you did it fits very well to your law enforcement when you were in the prisons, and you can go a little bit into this, but so what my ask is, yeah, go ahead and talk about how it applies to when you worked at the Federal Bureau of Prisons. Do you say, would you say you are firm, fair, and consistent in your interpersonal relationships?
Uh,
And that includes me. Would you use the same thing for that? So first of all, why you did it for law enforcement, and do you, yes or no, and in what ways apply that to your relationship with your wife?
huh. Well, I think it all comes down to general aspects of respect. Lots of times, depending on when you first get there are certain levels to, and I'm going to compare. I'm gonna do some prison comparisons in this. Somebody first comes in, they're kind of wild off the streets because they've just got arrested. They're away from their family. They're locked up. They want to go see their family. They're mad about what happened. They want to get back out there and get that person who turned them in or whatever. They're angry. There's a lot of energy being directed at them. Some of the OGs that are locked up in there, they're kind of like, hey, tell this guy to shut up, man. I got 25 years of life. He just got in here, man. Hey, I ain't got no time to hear this dude in this mess. Hey, man, tell him to shut up. They don't like that. And there's a general thing of respect. You come in loud. Some people, they want to shut that loudness down. And lots of times in the military, parents, you know, in life, it tells you to shut yourself down and keep quiet because you got all kinds of things you got on your mind and it doesn't work for everybody. So I say all that to say that it comes level of respect when you how my approach in talking with anybody, I give respect and I expect it back in return. And when it doesn't come, then I understand where I'm dealing with how I continue to work in that relationship with that individual. So my key that I came up with was firm, fair, and consistent. Treat everybody the exact same way. And then that way, no matter what happens, you can't accuse me of helping out only this section of the inmates or only that section of the inmates or this way. And in that way, I was able to walk and navigate myself without being show favoritism towards anybody. And that way no one's offended. So I had to learn to walk that way in the prisons because I was the only man. It was just me on a unit with sometimes up to 200 plus men. And I had to learn to communicate. And if I didn't communicate properly, and communication is not by mouth, it's also by how you show up, your general hygiene, your body language, things like that. So I had to be firm, I had to be fair and consistent.
So I got to stop you right there because I think it's important to break that down a little bit. So in terms of the prison, what does firm look like?
Firm means I show that same hand. I show that same level of attention to detail from one person to the other.
Well, that's consistent, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but there's
some.
Well, we'll see. But some people are easy because they see some people, and I'm tired, and I'm working on a shift, and I pat down a bunch of guys, and it's time for them to get ready to go off into the units, and I'm tired. There's 15 more guys, and I just kind of like let them go. I'm not firm in certain things, or they're playing around, and it's almost like kids. I hate to even say like that. Well, I didn't even think we're gonna get into the subject this deep like this either. But it's how you put your hand down. You know how they say sometimes some people say slap your pimp hand down on certain people. It's not necessary to do that all the time. You just stay firm with them, and I don't have to come hard all the time. That's all. That's how I look
I'm
at
just looking at what just out of curiosity, definite firm. Let's see. It says having a solid, almost unyielding surface or structure, or strongly felt unlikely to change. So it sounds to me the firmness to be solid in your nature, meaning you're firm, meaning like this, I'm solid. If you give instruction, I don't know what you give instruction in the bureaus, form a line or whatever, you're very solid with it, right? You're very firm with it. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's almost interchangeable when you're talking about it like that. When you're trying to get a definition, it was always just something for me, a mantra that I kept in my head: firm, fair, and consistent. Firm, fair, and consistent.
Yeah, but I guess so what I'm trying to get at inside though, it sounds to me, I guess when I heard you say firm, meaning solid, like you had to form a line, firm. You know, you couldn't be, form a line. You're not, there's a certain amount of solidity to
well,
it.
That's that firmness. That definitely has to be shown with everyone, and in particular how you talk. But I also approach it differently as well, because some of that firmness and you got to get up in the military, that firmness is, you call out commands, you make people get in line, you do everybody in rank, but it doesn't work like that with everybody. So that's why I say it's a flexible thing that I use for myself. In the military, when I said attention, hut, everybody stood up, right face, they all turned, things like that. But with this in law enforcement, there's a whole different tie with that. My way of communicating, I can deal with somebody who doesn't even speak English. So I can come in there and I can give out orders all day long. And then where is that going to lead me? So my approach was a whole lot different. I just knew I had to be firm, and I knew I had to be fair, and I had to be
Now,
consistent.
fair. What does
Okay.
fair mean?
Fair again is show it to each and every person. That, you know, when you first get into real talk, you get into the streets and you hang out with your favorite friends, and who you hang out with is who you hang out with. It just so happens that when you get locked up in a prison or a jail, you want to go the whatever's close resembles what is me. That usually ends up being colors and races. Blacks go here, Mexicans go here, whites go here. They generally group together. So the one thing I do as an officer, my whole objective is sure that I treat each and every one of them fairly. Because if they show that I'm showing favoritism towards this group or that group, things start happening. And you know, in this podcast, I'm sure there's gonna be some experiences. Times I'll explain some of the stories and things that I've went through that help me get this frame of reference, because people are always watching. People are always watching, and that's one of the things that, you know, like I said, you have to be firm, fair, consistent. And people
And
for that.
consistent. Now,
Ah,
consistent. What do
ah.
you mean by consistent as it relates to the Bureau of Prisons?
Consistent meaning I'm the same every day. When I go
Mm.
to the kitchen and I go get my peanut butter, it better be the exact same way I remember last time when I put it on my bread or on my crackers or whatever I put it on. I want look for that consistency. That's why people go to McDonald's every time, because they know it's the same thing, the same way. There's nothing different. If I go to Idaho, the Big Mac is the same as it is over here in North Carolina versus California. It's still the same. There's a consistency to it. And that's why people go to that. And that's why people come and have brought their problems to me, because there's a level of consistency. This
You know, when
guy,
I just want to say,
uh,
when you broke it down to me previously, you were talking about how you would have coworkers that would come in, and depending on the morning that they had or when or before they started their shift, it was the evening shift, they would come in skipping when they had good days, and they would come in foul when they had bad days. And you explained it to me that because you were driving from one part of town down into downtown San Diego, and you used to say that you used to use that drive to set the tone, to get that consistency, so you wouldn't be sort of flotsam and jetsam, whereas you saw coworkers, they would come in and be happy one day, and then the next day they would be all a different way. And for the inmates, which are in your care, what I really appreciate when you talk about the Federal Bureau, when you were doing it, there was a sense of care that you had, and that preparation to be as consistent as you said. I think that's worth mentioning, and I'll turn it back over to you. But is that correct? Am I right about that consistency?
that consistency that you're talking about, that was what I did when you're talking about when I prepped myself going into work. When
Mm.
I would head into work, I had to get my mindset right. I had to go in and say, you know, hey, um, as I mentioned to you earlier, not everybody understands military commands. There are people who don't have educations. There's this guy just got through shooting somebody, you know. So that's not they're not thinking right. There are people that are living off the street, homeless individuals that are coming to have mental health issues, that are angry, that are beyond angry. They got all different levels of emotions that are running through them, and you can't come in yelling and screaming. It looks like it's easy. That's how TV makes it seem like you come in and yelling and
Mm.
screaming, and someone's going to whip into shape and know exactly what you mean. But if this dude just came from Guadalajara, Mexico, and has been trekking
Mm.
for 2 weeks just to get to the border and has just crossed the border, and now he has committed a federal crime at entering the United States, and you have to deal with this guy, he's not going to understand me yelling commands at him. He's got to understand when I'm giving him signals, telling him how to come here and doing this and showing him what I mean by using nonverbals. So a lot of things that I learned in the military, they didn't translate, but I had to adapt and overcome some of those things. So I don't know if that answers your question.
Well, we're talking
And
about consistency. I think what you were talking about is the fairness again. but the consistency of being, when you walked into your job, you were Officer Davis. And you got to tell them what you did. You wore a certain kind of smell.
Listen, we'll get into that at another time. Because remember, this is the I Miss You episode. This is what this is. This is about missing things. So there are things that, you know, that I miss, and that was what we were starting off on. I mean, there's nothing wrong with going off on a tangent, of course.
Yeah.
But
I guess I was relating it about relationships, because that probably wouldn't apply. So getting back to the Miss You, the firm, fair, and consistent, and you said it earlier when you were talking about even in the prison, yeah, that's your go-to. That's how you set it up. But each individual is different. That was how you did firm, fair, and consistent with your work life, but with your wife life, you don't really, it's not the same thing. So,
well, here's this thing. You know, that ride that I told you about, how I prep myself going into work? I'm building it up. I'm telling myself, okay, let me get myself ready, because I'm working this unit today and I got to deal with such and such up there. Last week he was this way. Yesterday I heard he's doing this, and I just come off vacation, get my mind ready and right, because I got to walk into the hordes of hell sometimes, walking, you know, into a prison. Sometimes it can be like that. And so I had to get myself ready mentally. I get there and do my thing. That 35-minute drive I had driving into San Diego every day to that prison, that was how I got myself fired up and ready and for what I had to do. Now that return ride home was just the same thing. I had to get myself clean and cleared from all the stuff that I just saw there. And I mean, I seen some stuff. Now, initially, I'll even say this. There was a time when I remember coming home with my first wife, coming home and got into a little fight. I got some blood on my clothes. You know, this is one of the
from the prison.
From the prison. Got back and didn't even realize it was on me. Come home, pull up, and take off my jacket. My wife goes, "Whoa, what is that?" I said, oh man, I totally forgot about what had happened, because I had literally cleared my mind up on the ride back that everything was done. And she happened to see me, you know, while I was undressing, taking my, you know, my uniform off. She saw that, and at that point, that was the first and only time I ever let her see that. Because I remember how she looked, and the questions that I got afterwards. I was like, okay, not only do now I have to prep myself from what I did when I was leaving there, driving home, but I also had to clear my mind up with my family. I got 3 daughters, and I got a wife who's got questions, and, you know, and so I took a lot of those dangerous, you know. Now, again, I started out in this career married. I went through a divorce during that. So there was a different mindset change as well too, because when I first go there, I'm thinking about going home. I'm going home every night. I'm going home every night. Now, when I got divorced and they had to pay child support and alimony, I was like, you know what? If I get killed, this insurance is going to cover them. So let me take the dangerous jobs. Let me get all the overtime I can get. And in that way, in case anything happens to me, at least my family's covered. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to do whatever they have me to do. So, you know, so that's kind of where it went. That's kind of, you know, priorities change. And as you grow, things start changing. So yeah, it's interesting. And go ahead.
I think it's interesting that I'm sorry. Do you have a thought you want to finish? I don't want to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
I think it's interesting that you also, a good segue also with this Miss You episode, and you going the mantra from Fair Consistent, coming home, decompress, or whatever the words that you said. I think that's interesting. And part of this Miss You episode, and you said the insurance, if something happens to me, the insurance will cover it and all of this, whatever. I think there is a point, and this might be almost a slight change of subject, But I think it's worth mentioning as I grieve. I don't really think I've grieved for my sister yet,
Mm,
fully, because I've been so caught up in the business
mhm,
of her. She died, was it in intestate, without a will,
mm,
um, and I'm sharing it here as the family business as a teaching moment that insurance, even if it's term, um, can help with those that are still alive. And the fact that I don't know if it's necessarily want to go in the Black community, but I am Black and I can only speak from my experience because, as you know, Samuel, I'm a intergalactic multidimensional wizard who presents as a Black woman.
that I know. That I know.
So as I traverse through this, my sister did such an amazing job and left a large inheritance to my niece and nephew. Praise God. And because my sister, I know her thinking, never thought that she was going to not survive my mom and dad, because mom and dad are in their 80s. It just, she just, she died so suddenly off of something that was so, what I think I want to label as, I want to say stupid, only because pneumonia, people dying of pneumonia, it happens because you let it progress so long and you're cold. And I think when I think about our community and talking about life insurance, and if you pass in estate planning, and part of that Miss You episode, we hope that we're not going to talk about Miss You after someone passes, because we're talking about the living as well. What can we do to help our loved ones when we do pass over? And or what can we do in our lives right now? And this is probably going to go too much off of the topic, but remember how you sent that video to me about life insurance policies are for your life. And that's something that we both have life insurance policy. And I have the one that, accumulates money and you put it in the market and all of that. A lot of folks who know this, they wait until they build it up. And then so when they hit their 70s, they take that money out and they live off of that. Or they take a few life insurance policies. So one of the things that this whole experience, the I Miss You episode, is how can we educate ourselves and our community when our loved ones pass, or when we get older, how are we planning for, what is our estate planning for the living as much as the dead?
I'm gonna bring up something that was very personal that that we experienced about 5 or 6 years ago during Christmas time before Gail passed. We had the white elephant. Remember the white elephant when Dad opened up that book that she had called "I'm Dead, Now What?" She got this book and we all laughed and joked about it, and it was the funniest thing. We were holding this book up and you're going through this book and you open it up and it starts saying, here's a social security number, here's my passwords, here's my will, this is what I want done with this is what. And it sounds funny right now, up until someone passes away and you realize that you don't have that book filled out. And when it comes time to finding out, does a person want to get cremated? Does a person want to have a full-blown choir at the church? Does a person even like church? Does a person want to be put in a cat urn or a box? Does a person want the $500 thing? Does he want to be wearing the suit that he bought or the uniform that he was in, that he served under? Those kind of things you get to find out. And that's what the whole purpose of that is. So it was really something that incident happened with that, and that we had to go there and experience things this way, because it definitely makes you look at future planning for sure. For sure.
And the irony that Gail gave the book, the irony that Gail gave the book to Daddy. That's the irony. And the fact that you and I bought a one-way ticket here to Michigan because we were going to, my sister just retired. This is what I'm saying. She just retired in September. And you can, and when I went through her effects, you saw her setting things up. She took over the mortgage from, because they lived together. You know, she did this, you know what I'm saying? She was actually planning and revamping a lot of stuff because she retired. And then it's like, and I remember, you know, you and I, you know, we said to Gail, she went and got a storage unit. There was so much going on with the house before Gail passed. And Gail, we had to do the bathrooms, and Gail was going through all the stuff. And I was like, the text message is still on her phone. Don't do anymore. I'm coming. Don't you do anything. We're going to come. We're going to get together. One-way ticket. And this happens. It's, and sometimes I think, because we're both kind of metaphysicians, spiritual kind of people, and we live in that space. Sometimes I have this, I understand some of our courses we've gone to, like your beliefs create your reality, and you can change your reality and your thoughts by blah, blah, blah. Some of the times I'm like, this is Earth School. Are some things fated? Like pneumonia? You know, the book, the one-way ticket, the fact she was setting things up. Oh my word. I just
it was a lot. It really was a lot. And I said here we are. I'm back here in California, and you have not been back yet. You are still, and I mentioned to you, you are still in, you know, I just left Afghanistan. You're still over there, and I'm decompressed. Hey, I sat back and I had some ramen the other day. And I mean, I don't mean to downplay the situation.
No.
But it's like you're still in it. You are still in it. And I've been back here, and like as I mentioned, you know, I'm kind of decompressed. Mom and Dad still haven't realized, they haven't felt what it was like yet. And you know, you said yourself when you went back to the house today, the door was locked. So that was something that they hadn't did in a while. So you can see mentally they're already getting their mind set for things, and they're ready to move on. And you know, you're still, well, there's some things, not everything.
I guess and I think people need to understand, because, and again, this goes back, I Miss You episode, and what can we do moving forward? It's, I think, again, the will, she had beneficiaries to her retirement, that thing, but it's like, I had to go through probate to become a personal representative. And that's what happens, because there was no spouse. She didn't have kids. So then my parents are the next of kin, but the banks and the insurance companies, they want it official. So that takes the process. So I started becoming the paperwork for being a personal representative in January. I mean, this is February. It's not so far off, but you got to get it. You got to stay on it. You know, I had to go. I literally went to the courthouse to get in their face to, you know, this is, you know.
Well, see, hold it, Kelly. I don't want to slow it down, but I think you need to break down some of the process of what you've been doing. You know, you're the go-getter, and nothing slows you down. But this process has slowed you down.
Yeah.
What are some of the steps? What are some of the things you're talking about, probate and things like that? What is it? What are some of the things that you that stopped you from going? You know, because you know, like I said, you know, you like to rush in and get things done and have it done yesterday.
Yeah.
And what were some of the individuals or or policies that has slowed you down, that made you sit back there and put a halt to the wind that you are?
Mm. Um, so when Gail passed, I'm trying to remember, how did I find out about I don't want to name any companies because for obvious reasons. So the place that she had that was doing her retirement account, that and I don't want to name any figures, but my niece and nephew got an inheritance. I'm trying to remember how I found out. I think I went in her room, and I also was looking on a computer, and I found some things. I'm like, okay, and I was able to call. So it goes back to What to Do When I'm Dead, that book, because passwords, computer, whatever. So somehow, because I'm due diligence, found at least about the Ameriprise. Said the word. Okay. Anyway, messed up. They don't get any money though, because don't go to them. That's all I got to say.
Don't
Anyway,
say that,
I found out about
they
it.
might help. They might help somebody. I
They
mean,
might help
it's
somebody.
just
Okay.
our experience.
I'm not happy with
yeah.
the way they've been doing things.
Sure,
Anyway,
sure.
I think that I found out. We then went to the bank because it's important. Daddy and mommy live in the house, so they have to stay in the house. And found out that Gail had, by going to PNC Bank, because that's where the mortgage is.
Oh, just throw it all out now.
Dang, I guess I guess I'm
okay.
just keep doing it, huh? I'm so sorry, and
it is what it is. It is what it is, because you know what? I have no love lost for. I don't care for Bank of America.
Don't say any more names. I made a mistake because I don't know.
Why? You're going to get sponsored by them?
Like
if you don't care for them, I sure want nothing to do with them. That's for sure.
Well, the point being, how did I find out about it? I had to look and scan and whatnot when we went to the bank. And then they said that they would not release any information without a personal representative. And my father and I were there like, this Daddy. I mean, and also Daddy was on the thing with Gail and all this. So his account with her, of course, he could access it. But she had her own account. So it became this thing about being this personal representative. And so I had to go. I didn't know about it. So I had to go and I got papers. Ann Arbor, I can say this, does a really good job with trying to give you information in terms like you can go to the courthouse, got to pay $4 and they give you the paperwork. And when I initially saw it, you and I have, and now what we can do a commercial for is Legal Shield. Legal Shield came and saved the day. And
I've been a representative of prepaid legal for over 20 years, to be honest with you. Over 20 years.
So we're gonna cut this part. We're gonna give it to Legal Shield, and we're gonna say we're gonna run this. Can we get some monetization?
We can do that.
And some money. Okay. Anyway, I got there, got the paperwork, and initially, because I haven't grieved. So when I first got it, it looked like dogs and cats and bats and rats. And then I had to take a moment and then go on the internet and just figure out some of these words in testing, descendant, the decedent. And there's some legalese that kind of was scary, but you just do a Google search and you can make it out. And I was going to go through a lawyer and do all this stuff. And I said, well, no, just going to go slow and do it myself. And I did, but it's the process. So I started sometime, I don't know, mid-January. And just last week it settled. So it took a good month. And then from there, after you need this paperwork, we had to get away for, all of that. Now I have to go with it. I can then go to account. So I'm still in it. And I haven't really done much because it just happened this past Friday that I got the paperwork. So I think this idea of me being away, it's because this business has to be settled. And I also want my parents, because Gail was a significant contributor to the household in so many ways. I mean, in so many ways, it's not just her financial. She was such a strong, quiet force. And I had no idea until I Miss You episode, until she's gone. What a so my parents, nobody, whether the child is 4, 14, 34, or 64, like my sister, no parent has ever imagined surviving their child. And they certainly didn't think Gail was going to pass before them. And I think seeing there, and I've said this many times to many different people, seeing the heart ache and the heartbreak of my mom and dad, plus wanting, plus the grieving of their daughter, plus seeing them, plus my own grieving, plus the business, because you can call it the Capricorn in me. I can kind of compartmentalize a little bit and, okay, let me get to the business. But the slower pace also comes from being compassionate and sensitive to my parents. And again, going back to what I said in the beginning of the conversation, Gail was to see all the stuff that was going on in the house prior to Gail passing, which was pressing, which is something that my mom, dad, and Gail were working with. And it was a lot. Now, coupled with the household stuff, now Gail's passing, now my dad in particular has the stuff from before, and now my dad. And I have to say that it has been, quite daunting. It really has. And I think that it's, and then mental health of parents grieving. We forget about aging, but and I remember my dad said, what was that, Monday? It changed my thinking, because of course I should move with you and I, Samuel. We told them, come on, you just move in with me. And I have been in that frame of mind that I'll just cajole them. I'll just manipulate them into it. I will convince them that this is the best because you and I are awesome. We have the space. And of course they would do it. So I never imagined that they wouldn't come with me, because I'm freaking phenomenal and I love them. So of course they would do it. But my dad, this past Monday, this is why it's taken so long, was like, yo, I'm going for quality, not quantity of life at this point. And I want to stay in my house where there's room. And I was like, I have room. You have a whole room. But their room is significantly bigger. It's this, I got it. But I'm like, you have California sun, and we have a pool, and we have a hot tub, and we have all kinds of things. And so it has been my revelation as of late that I want my parents happy, and I want them to spend the rest of their years happy as they can be. So this was the first week that I actually considered and began to go, okay, they want to stay here, so let's look into some things. And that process of this week of having to release my vision and dreams has been hard, because we have an awesome space, and I don't understand why they wouldn't.
Kelly, this is part of that I miss you thing now. You are already starting to miss them, and you have come to the full realization of some things right now. That's, hey, I miss my sister. Mom and dad don't want to come with me back home to California. I now have got to prepare for them to stay here and me to process and get myself back to California. This is all part of that missing thing. And you came to full realization after the other day, after Dad put his foot on that brake and stepped on it mighty hard. He wasn't playing.
Mhm.
He wasn't playing. So it's
Yeah.
a natural thing, and it's part of
Mhm.
that grieving process. They have to get their stuff going and mentally, and obviously they did when they locked the door. And you're on that same thing too. Now you have to, we just got to safely get you out of Iraq or Afghanistan or wherever you want to wherever you want to tie that into. But
I
yeah.
think that it's really, it's with older parents, it is, so my girlfriend Terrell, who you adore as well, her mother had Alzheimer's and her mother has passed, and now her father is has some dementia. I don't know, do you have some dementia? What's dementia? What's
Hey,
Alzheimer's? I'm still trying to. And she said that to give my parents may not want to come right now, but maybe they will come after. And so, as you know, Samuel, I've been in that house since December, and I just started leaving the house for extended periods of time. So right now where I'm at, I'm in Di's Den. One of my best girlfriends, my sister friend, Diane Jenkins Ali, and I'm in this gorgeous all year room in Michigan, excuse me, not California. And I spent the night last night. That was the first night I spent away from my parents' house since we came here in December. And this past week, I've been intermittently trying to stay away. Well, one, I have errands and running stuff, so I've been trying to stay away, and it's really challenging because this morning I get up 8 o'clock, I go right back to the parents' house, and
well, see, that's my question I wanted to ask you, Kelly. Who is it more difficult for, you or them?
me.
Okay.
Me, and
So you're missing them.
it's my story, Samuel. My story is, I my place is so much better than anything you could ever imagine, that I still can't cognize why would you ever not want to live with me, because I'm just amazing. And then also there's a little, and I have to shift this. I'll say what I said, and then and I'm shifting this. And I said to you once, I said, I'm just a little girl who wants to take care of her parents. I'm not a little girl. I'm a full grown woman, and my parents are full grown adults as well. And I want to take care of them. But I've been seeing myself as the baby girl, as the little girl. And it's time I gotta grow up, and I've grown up. But again, this is my thinking. And one of the things, and Diane and I were even discussing this about another girlfriend of ours, we talked about, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. And that's in the Bible. And another scripture that keeps coming in my head is, for God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of sound mind. That sound mind and no fear, and the idea that I can renew my mind. I have had some fears about my parents, which is, they need, and I have a sibling and his family that live here. But my niece and nephew who who actually got the inheritance, they come to California. So so I kind of think, well, maybe the more people who come to California, because they're here because of their grandchildren, and they were here because of Gail. So now that Gail's passed over and the grandbabies are coming, not that they don't care about my brother and his wife, but those are the things that they mentioned that would keep them here. If they move to California, maybe that's also what Terrell was saying, let time happen a little bit.
How
But
has
yeah,
time
it's
been?
me.
How has time been going for you right now? It's fast, slow. How has it been going for you?
Low like molasses. And
Is
sometimes my parents, like, I want to go to the banks, and we got to look for a new car for them. we got to do these things. And it's like, oh, we'll go tomorrow. It's like, I definitely have been allowing. I've been accepting that. But now, because I am setting a primary, I have to get back. I got to love you. I got to get back to my husband. I got to get back to my life. I got to get back to things that now I am going to have to move just a little bit faster, because there's certain things that have to be in place for me, not for them, for me, before I do leave. One is a car, they have, just again, of all the things that happened, I guess sometime this past fall, because remember they had a car, Samuel. The car died at some point this past year. I don't know when it is, but now that Gail's retired, whatever, they just been using. Gail goes to the grocery store. Gail does this. So they just kind of just let Gail. She has the car. They need it. They'll go. But it's a stick shift. I'm sorry.
It's a lot, baby. Listen. It's a lot that you're going through. There are a lot of different things that we're talking about, and it's a new way of life. And listen, we left in December going there, and one-way ticket, going to go there, just hang out and come back when we were comfortable.
When we were going to help them with the house, remember? And we were going to do some of this stuff.
Look at where we're at. It happened,
and that's why. And I'm sorry, and then I'll shut up. And that's why when my father, when, he had that moment, God bless him. And he's like, and he's getting upset, and he's also feeling a little overwhelmed. I'm feeling overwhelmed. So there was so much that was going to need attention. After we got through the holidays, we were going to start to go through things, solidify the bathrooms, what are we going to do with the house? These were just, remember, before Christmas, Gail was there, all of us, we started talking about, are we going to keep the house? Do we want to do this? We want to live together? The ironic.
Here's the thing, you mentioned earlier, my Capricorn, you can plan, strategize, you can do it all. You can be the best. Like you call yourself the best wedding planner ever. And you know what? Some things just happen the way they happen, and they fall the way they did. And here's the thing that I can honestly say, you have gracefully stood strong. And sure, there were some rough moments there. If it hadn't been for some of your girlfriends there, the CGC, as we affectionately call them, the Cool Girls Club. They have been absolutely knockout wonderful, absolutely amazing, and because of that, that's been a helpful thing. I mean, look at where you're at right now. I wish you could have shown them the how it looks from the other side of that room right there with that glass. Can you do it? Can you do it? Oh my goodness! There you go.
This is Di's Den.
Yeah, Di's Den.
My girlfriend's created for herself here in Michigan. Isn't that wonderful?
Yes.
Talk about how awesome that is. I mean, she really created such an awesome spot from herself. And I really have to say this about Diane. She's from a real small town. I gotta say it. Maybe Michigan. And of course, she used to get, where are you from? Maybe. Is there a possibility? Is there an almost? Is there, she used to get all of that. And coming from country girl, coming from humble beginnings and all of that, made such an impact. She's block captain here. It's such an impact with her daughters, with her household, with the city of Ann Arbor, with the University of Michigan.
Hold on, you said she's a block captain, you said?
Yeah.
That's the new one. I haven't heard that one. So what do you mean? Yeah. Of the block, of the neighborhood she's in?
Neighborhood watch. You know how they have that? Oh God. So there's been this weird, like, I've been able to reconnect. Like, I've been in California, that a lot of my sister friends, my closest, I mean, we met at Michigan, Diane and I, when we ran track. And it's like all of my closest friends, a lot of them are here. And so on Wednesday, I go see my other sister friend, Marcina, Sophia. Next, sometime this week, I got to get over and see my Sophia. It's like I've had these, and they all just rallied around and been so extremely helpful. Marcina swooped in and came in like she had a cape on to that house. And I'll just share, my parents had black mold in the house, and Marcina brought the stuff and she cleared it out. And so, I mean, that's why I still got to do the bathrooms. It's going to come back. But I had the kind of relationships that I've cultivated. Marcina, I've known since, I'm trying to remember, 7th grade at Forsyth Junior High School. I have friends that, what's that Brownie song? Make new friends, but keep the old. One is silver and the other is gold. I have that space. So I have silver friends too, wonderful silver friends like Lisan and Elaine and, people I've met, Kizzy's and Liana's and, some of the people in the space there in California. I've been very blessed.
Yes, yes,
Very
yes,
blessed.
yes, you are. And I miss you.
And you.
I miss you.
You
Thank
have
you. Thank
been
you.
incredible.
Thank you, baby. Thank you. Thank you.
Been
Thank
incredible.
you. I figured I was gonna come in down there somewhere. I mean, come on now.
You were.
I
and
figured I was gonna
remain.
come there somewhere. So thank you.
You were and remain a
Thank you.
delight and just
Thank you,
so supportive and you listen to me cry and yell,
Who, you?
just
Nah,
fuss.
not you. Not you.
You're so
You're
sweet.
tough. You're tough. You're tough. Come on now. It's been interesting. This has definitely been a journey. This has definitely been one of our what do you call it? Momentous. No, not this is one of those ticks in a notch in our belt. This experience is our first major separation. And this is something that in the military, you're used to doing that. When I was growing up as a military brat, dad would go overseas, and the family would be here, and yeah, it's one of those things. I miss you a lot, and I have learned a lot, even with this short time for me personally. It's been not only for you, it has been a transition for me, because my thought process of coming back was, hey, I need to get the place ready for mom and dad coming. I mean, that was the mindset initially, but it's it is what it is right now, and it's something else. So I'm so happy to sit back here right now and say, hey, at least right now we're getting we're finding an outlet for you right now, something that you can sit back there and just say, you know what, this, out of everything that I've experienced right now, this is my brief reprieve. This is my this is my break. Again, you're still over there in Afghanistan, and we haven't got you back over here yet. We haven't got you back stateside yet, and that's what I'm trying to do, and that's what we're working on right now. But I hope you don't mind the fact that I'm going to change the subject real quick, that I took your space here. I decided it was better here than going in the room and starting up the in the office right there. And I figured to start here, and as we move this podcast along, we'll do a little different things and change some lighting up. And obviously we're going to start carrying lights with us when we leave from here on out, because we never know where we're going to end up at. But it's just really good to be here with you. And hopefully this is a start of an outlet for both of us. There are lots of things that we brought about our whole thing about Bridge Visions, is that we wanted to get everyone who came in here have an opportunity to see the countless other possibilities of grieving, of life, of culture that you've never seen from a different perspective. And that's what we're trying to bring. And that's what we hope to do with this podcast. We've actually crossed the 1 hour. That was pretty easy, huh?
Yes, it was.
That went really easy. So
it's always easy with you, my love.
Well, it is what it is. It is what it is, my dear. It is what it is. So love you too. Definitely looking forward to doing the next one. And I think that this is going to end it right here. Everybody, thank you for coming. I see we have one viewer on Twitch. I don't know who that is, but it's all good. And we're going to end this broadcast and stay on, Kelly, so that we can do some updates. And look at that beautiful smile, my baby. I was gonna load up some pictures and send some pictures, but talk about how we met. But we'll catch that for another time too. But thank you again. Let me just get this real quick.
Thank you for watching, the person from Twitch. We really appreciate it. Come back again.
And hope you come back and join us on Bridge Visions, where we explore the infinite possibilities of what can be.
Could be.